KWT slaying.
Salama family, salama. How y'all doing today? Hope you're blessed and highly favored. Before we get started, this episode is brought to you by Gift Giving for All, where you can get your tail mug and your shirts and your hoodies and all of this stuff. I'm going to put the link in the chat for those who don't know how to navigate there. All right, so today we're going to talk about Boxwood. What does Boxwood even mean? It means you're the color of a box. And to me, it's really interesting that this fight for identity, we all know it's really over. I mean, we didn't prove our case. Now, what's interesting today is those who admit the truth or partially admitting the truth, let's say, about who we are and who they are. Now, they're not going to admit their Revelation 2939 and that they stole our identity. Now, they're not going to do that. But, be honest with you, the debate is over. But my thing is, when it comes to some of our people who still deny who we are, there's a mental issue there or a spiritual issue. Those who are Negro who say it don't matter, there's a spiritual issue there. We all the same, blah, 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 blah. Well, if we go and do the research and we find out that we have been targeted for extermination for like centuries, it blows the mind. I mean, sheep don't know they're going to get sheared, but that's another story, right? Because, our people are sheep for the most part. Till the lions come out, Micah 5:8, not Matthew, Micah 5:8. Till the lions come out. But most of us sheep and getting sheared, and not only sheared, but want the meat. But that's another topic. So let's look at Dr. Brown. And let's hear what Dr. Brown says about who the Negro is, who the true Jews are, and who's the converts.
To this day, to say someone is a Jew could be a broad ethnic statement. They are a descendant from the Jewish people, or it could be an expression of their religious faith. So here's how you get white Jews, black Jews, Asian Jews, Hispanic Jews, etc. Here's how you get Jews of all colors. People convert to Judaism. And when they convert to Judaism, they become part of the Jewish people. And therefore, the Jewish people will have many different backgrounds of skin color and ethnicity. But then once you are part of the Jewish people, that becomes a larger designation as well. So you can be a physical descendant, like your parents were Jewish. They were non-religious Jews. You're a non-religious Jew. You're still a Jew. That's more of an ethnic descent. Or it could be that your family converted to Judaism became followers of the God of Israel, and now your kids will be considered Jews, even though there was no historic connection. So it's a bit more complicated, but once you understand it, then it makes sense.
Yeah, it's hard to make sense of, I guess. Okay, so I mean, is it? Well, I don't know. I guess would it be better to distinguish between Israelites and Jews, or are there really hardly any racial Jews anymore?
No, there are plenty that have descent back. There are millions of Jews living in Israel that have Middle Eastern descent, that are not converts into Judaism, like my family line would have been as a Caucasian. Converts into Judaism, like my family line would have been as a Caucasian. At some stretch in time, or intermarriage would be the other thing, intermarriage with conversion to Judaism. No, so there are plenty of Jews, a very good number, especially those who are not Ashkenazi, who would be able to say, yeah, we trace ourselves back to the people of Israel and the Middle East and the Jewish people, etc. But by the time you have the New Testament, things have already spread. You've already had many people convert to Judaism and join from other nations, and God calls the people Jews there. They're referred to as Jews, Jewish people. So again, it's not confusing once you understand that there is the ethnic descent, and as long as that's preserved, then you're a Jew. Or you could convert to Judaism from another ethnicity, and now you're part of the larger Jewish people. So those are the categories. But the simple thing is, once a Jew, always a Jew, right? So you're born a Jew, you die a Jew. Yes, hello, Michael.
Hello. Thanks for having me. I recently, a friend of mine said that they've seen an article by the Obadiah Alliance that they made a ruling on the Igbos saying that they were descendant from the ancient Israelites. Mm-hmm. And I just don't see how that's possible. I'm not trying to make this a race thing, but I don't see how it's possible when they don't the ancient Israelites were looked European, correct?
No, they didn't look European. Certainly not European. They look Middle Eastern. If you look at an Egyptian today or an Iraqi today, they'd be darker skinned, more brown skinned. We do have a statement from the early third century in the Mishnah, going back to a bit earlier time. And it contrasts the Germans and then the Ethiopians, so Caucasians, and then Africans. Contrast that with the Jews, the Israelites, who would have been like boxwood in color. So they would have been, brown-skinned people or light brown-skinned people. But how is it that I'm a Jew and I can claim descent from Israel and I'm Caucasian? How is it the Lemba tribe in Zimbabwe can have verified descent from Israel and they're black? The answer is intermarriage. It's very simple. As the Jewish people spread around the world and people converted to Judaism and intermarried, and they stayed long enough in a place, then after a while, Jews in China looked Chinese, Jews in India looked Indian, Jews in Africa looked African, Jews in Europe looked European. That's how it happened. Intermarriage in. So let's remember this, Michael. If we intermarry out, right? In other words, you're a Jewish person, you marry someone that's practicing another faith, and you leave Judaism, then within a generation or two, there's going to be no consciousness of Jewish descent anymore. In other words, your children, grandchildren, great-grandchildren will be lost to the people of Israel. But if you intermarry in, you're a Gentile, you convert to Judaism, and you join the Jewish people, now the kids you have, they'll look a little different, but the kids you have will now be part of the Jewish people. So, we know from Scripture that there are specific references to Ethiopians or others of dark skin that would seem to be different from the people of Israel as a whole. But the people of Israel were in Egypt and pretty much indistinguishable in many ways outwardly from the Egyptians as far as brown-skinned people. And, of course, you had many black-skinned people in Egypt as well. So that's how you can have different groups in Africa or India or other parts of the world that get discovered. And yeah, there is DNA that connects them back to Israel. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Well,
So
what
we
made you
can't-
think
we can't-
that the Israelites look European? Where did you get that from?
That's just what's been in front of me my whole life.
Yeah.
Jesus, European.
Yeah, so that's the
just
wrong
the
image.
way I understand it.
Jesus as a long-haired, white-skinned, blue-eyed European. Those are the images, and then you even have religious art where the Jews are these evil.
So some of you are having difficulty listening to the lies mixed with truth or the truth mixed with lies. Let's look at the few things that he did admit. One, he admitted that the original Jews were brown skin or dark skin. Two, he admitted that European converts and the Ashkenaz are converts. Okay, so two things he admitted: that the Jews were black or brown skin. And he used Boxwood. Some were dark. Those were the original. And he admits that his family were converts. He admits that the European Ashkenaz are converts. But it doesn't matter anymore, he says, because, they've been among us and intermarried with us, which isn't true. And we're going to talk about that. He also admits that the Limba in Zimbabwe are original Israel. So he admits that the Limba are original Israel. And they are converts. He admits that. Now, he throws in a few items where he tries to confuse people by saying that they intermarried with us. Now, I'm not going to say there weren't one-offs, because there's always one-offs, and we see some of our people intermarrying them today. But in his way, in my opinion, in his way, he's trying to be somewhat honest, but not remove their inheritance with us. That's what he's trying to do. He's trying to be somewhat honest and admit that, yes, they were black or brown. And then he says Middle Eastern. So he goes from they're brown, they're black, they're Boxwood, and then he goes to Middle Eastern. Well, what is Middle Eastern? We're going to talk about that too, because here's how he does. He lies with a little truth. Now, what is Middle Eastern? Now, in your mind, you're thinking Saudi Arabia, right? But he admits that the original Jews are black, Negro. Because if you say Limba, you saying Negro. If you saying Zimbabwe, you saying Negro. You saying brown, black, whatever. We come in many shades. But he said that we intermarried. Now, this is from the book. It's called The Creation and the Early Development of Society. Page 137. It says, then take a single illustration that can be traced somewhat easily. There is no people of more marked physiognomical expression than the Jews. Dark complexion, round face, and black hair. Moreover, they rarely intermarry with other people. What? They rarely intermarry with who? Other people. These features are remarkably well preserved. So they're still Negroes, they're still dark, they're still black, because they rarely intermarry with other people. Now it goes on to say, that some of them took refuge in northern Russia. I've done a show about that with the Abkhazians, right? The Abkhazians who were the black Jews who moved up that way. That's a totally different thing. If you want to learn about that, you can go and watch that video. But he said they intermarried with us. No, they didn't. Here's another book, the Calcutta Review. Some of the Brahmins of high caste are black. Many Arabs of pure blood in the middle of Africa are as black as Negroes. The Jews of Portugal and of Cochin are very black, though they do not intermarry with natives. Once again, the black Jews did not intermarry with the surrounding populace. They did not intermarry with the Europeans. They did not intermarry with the Cushites. Well, not in mass. They stayed within their own tribe. Why? Because the laws said that. The laws said that we should marry within Israel. And they were trying to follow the law, even though, we had a whole bunch of issues, which is why we went into captivity globally. Oh, yes. And I ain't want to get into the RAPED stuff. But yeah, that's part of what happened as well. As they enslaved us globally, we're still enslaved. They enslaved the continent, right? And many of us are still held in captivity. Everybody knows this already. Now, this is from A New Voyage of Italy with curious observations on several other countries as Germany, Switzerland, Savoy, Geneva, Flanders, and Holland, together with useful instructions for those who shall travel thither. Maximilian, Mission Maximilian. But 'tis ridiculous to imagine that the Jews, as being Jews, have a peculiar smell. The Jews of Rome are very poor. Those who are poor are always nasty, and those who are nasty usually stink. That is misery. 'Tis also a vulgar error. What? It's a vulgar error that the Jews are all black, for this is only true of the Portuguese Jews, who marrying always among one another, beget children like themselves, and consequently the swarthiness of their complexion is entailed upon their whole race, even in the northern region. So that contradicts everything he said about them intermarrying with us, right? That's 3 sources. But the Jews who originally Germany, that's the Ashkenaz, those, for example, I have seen at Prague are not blacker than the rest of their countrymen. In other words, they're not black. So understand that what he's doing is keeping their connection to being the people of the book. But, he don't want to admit that there's a high probability that they're Revelation 2939. If they're Revelation 2939, what does that mean? What does it mean for him? What does it mean for their conversion? What does it mean for prophecy? Because see, some of y'all still looking for the Middle East, which y'all believe to be our land. Now, I don't. But does that mean there weren't some of our people in that land? I believe some of our people were in that land. I also believe that there were descendants of Ishmael. Now, I've shown this video, when it first came out. I think Tail was the first one, or one of the first ones to show it. This was in the early 1900s from the Eye Film Museum of the Netherlands. This was the so-called Middle East in the early 1900s. When he say they were Middle Eastern, he's not lying, right? Did they not look Negroid, black? Well, I didn't have the music with it at the time when I recorded this, so which is probably for the best. But when he said they were Middle Eastern,
Fair use, fair use.
this is what he means. He's not really lying when he said they were Middle Eastern. This is Middle Eastern. This is the original inhabitants of what you call Jerusalem. You don't see them too much today, do you? Because they're relegated to the outskirts of society. Now, like I say, I don't believe this is the true Jerusalem at all. I believe this is Emperor Hadrian's Jerusalem, the fake Jerusalem. Now, throughout history, many of the what we call Ethiopians today had occupied much of Arabia and Palestine. This was the early 1900s. You saw all them black faces. You don't see that no more, right? What do you see? You see the descendants of the Turks, and you see the descendants of the Germans, I guess you could call them that. So what we have here is a partial telling of the truth. Yes, I believe these are Ishmael. I believe it is Ishmaelites. I don't even think they're Israelites, but who knows, right? We don't know for sure whether or not those people are Ishmael or Israel, but I believe they're Ishmaelites. Who's black? Striking images of the world's dark-skinned people inaccurately considered non-black. Black Arabia, black Arab. May be a confusing concept to many people in the West, where Arabs are classified as Caucasian. These Negro-looking people are classified as Caucasian. They are Arab. So when he say they're Middle Eastern, he's saying they're Arabs. Well, they're black Arabs. They're Ishmaelites. Like I said, he admitted that we are Israel. He admitted that they're converts. He said that they're Middle Eastern. At the same time, he said the Limba are the original Israelites. You got to read between the lines, right? Because with this area here, right, we got Kenya, Nairobi, Ethiopia, Sudan, Eritrea, right, going over to Yemen, which crosses over to Saudi Arabia and Oman. And we saw the picture of who was in Palestine in the early 1900s. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put this link out there, and we're not gonna be long because this is a short discussion. But I want to see what your comments on what he said. What do you all think about what he said? Because partial truths mixed with lies, but he admitted who we are. So I'm not gonna pin it. If you want to come and comment on it, you can. Because the truth is already out, and I don't think we have to defend ourselves anymore. I think that that's probably the best you're going to get from them, to say we are the people, because understand that they cannot exclude themselves when they, for at least the last 400 years, have been claiming to be us. Now, we understand that we have been targeted for deception. We have been targeted for manipulation. We have been targeted for extermination, and it goes on today. And your food is manipulated, your air is manipulated, your water. But yet the whole world is under judgment, right? Maui is under judgment, right? Canada is under judgment. The whole world's under judgment. Second Exodus, how's it going?
That's going pretty good. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, sound good.
Awesome. I'm just waiting for them to admit that the African Americans are the descendants of the tribe of Judah.
Indirectly, don't you think he has? I mean, if he's admitting Limba and Zimbabwe, I mean, will they ever come out and say we are? I mean, because then they might have to cut that check, huh?
Yeah, I even if they did come out and admit that we are, I don't think they would cut the check.
Maybe not, but the Most High gonna make them cut the check at some point, according to the scriptures.
Right, that's what I believe.
Yeah, Brother Doug, unmute yourself. You gotta unmute yourself, Brother Doug. All right, we can't hear you, Brother Doug. Let me get my sister on here. Sister Bit. Okay,
well,
there you
go
go.
ahead. Go ahead.
No, go ahead, Doug. Go ahead, Doug.
You sure?
Yeah,
I don't want to step on Betty's toes. Betty, how you doing? My name's Doug.
Right, you don't want to step on these country toes.
No, ma'am. No, ma'am. No, ma'am. Let me back down. You know what? Go ahead and let the fur fly.
Polk County smoke.
All right, so Sister Betty, what do you think about all this?
Man, Minister Kobe, let me tell you something. Speaking to them people about who we are, thinly proving who they are, it's like talking to a pig. I would not put myself in the filthiness of that mud that they dwell in. I'm a queen. I'm a queen that sit upon a throne. What the queen look like going down to the peasants, proving that she the queen?
That's true.
I ain't gonna get off my royal throne to go down to the peasants and prove that I'm the queen. You can see that I'm the queen. That's why I stay on the camera today. So if there's any Gentiles who confused about who the queen is, who the mother of the earth is, who carry that Eve gene, they can see who it is. I'm the mother of the earth. Why should I prove to the descendants that who I am? Will not do it.
So what do you think, Sister Betty, of him saying that the original Jews were brown and black, but that he and his family are converts?
Minister Colbert, that sounds like foolishness. Well, they are converts. They are. He's telling the truth. He is a convert. He even went so far as to say if they get married to another one that's a convert, that makes them a Jew too. It's all foolishness.
Yeah.
It's all foolishness. He already admit that the original Jews are brown, black, light brown, medium brown, dirt brown, mud brown, but they're all brown.
Exactly.
Come on.
And then they go to their Middle Eastern.
Look, that's just like that. That's just like saying the Hamashiach is olive green. What, they're Martian? You're saying that our Hamashiach is a Martian?
But you know the
Anything
complexity.
but the black man.
Exactly.
Anything.
But you know the complexity of the lie is that olives are green and black. Now, which one you gonna choose? Right?
The unripe olive?
Yeah.
They rather had an unripe olive
Yeah.
than the black olive. I'm
Exactly.
sorry, Minister Colbert. Listen. We have a men's Bible. We have a men's Bible study at the cafe every Sunday at 9:30, right as we open the cafe. Listen, these people, these entities would never ever. I'm sorry for all the Gentiles that's listening. They rather go to hell than to accept a brown skinned Hamashiach.
Yeah.
They're going to die on it. That's where we get the road. The path is thin. The road is narrow. Now we see this road getting even more narrow. It's just narrow. They're not going to be able to do it because they can't even accept the fact that their ancestors lied to them.
Yeah.
Their whole history, their whole narrative of life, it's a lie. Starting back when Darwin, that ignorant, backwards, uneducated, third grade literate lizard with the Darwin theory. They rather be from descendants of an animal than to be descendants of Eve.
Yep.
The original.
Yep.
That's telling you they would never, ever, ever accept us. It's never gonna happen.
I agree with that.
We gotta go to the continent.
Isn't it interesting? Isn't it interesting when he said to one of the callers, "What made you think that Yeshua was blonde hair and blue eyes? Where did you get that from?"
From their ancestors.
Exactly.
The same one that my grandma, and my grandmother, and your grandmother, and many other grandmothers on the call. That's the Jesus Christ. That's who he is. That's the homosexual Caesar Borgia that we all had hanging in our house.
Yeah.
Remember the big Bible, the big white Bible that our grandparents had?
With all the pictures in it?
You call that's the same Jesus Christ, like I just told my son this morning. Remember, it was a slave ship called Jesus Christ. It was a slave ship called Mary. One called it was named. Remember all of that? Just think of this concept. Our ancestors are on the slave ship called Jesus the Christ. So we idolizing the slave ship called Jesus Christ, and we call him on that same slave ship to save us and rescue us. Make it make sense.
Well, they have played us so well that they used our own book against us.
Our own book.
Yep.
Well, how did you think it was so easy for them to do the 1865, the slave book, and have a nerve to have it in the museum in Washington?
Yeah.
Make it make sense.
Yeah.
They watered down our own scriptures and gave it back to us and told us what we can read and what we can study.
So let me ask you a question, Sister Betty. So he admits that the true Jews were of color and that his family were converts. Then does that not give credence to our claim that our identity was stolen?
Minister Cole, please stop. Just stop. You just stop. Come on now. Come on. I can't even really answer that without laughing. Make it make sense. It does. It's like them just dancing around it. They're just dancing around it. They know it, but they can't mess up their history books because all their books need to be burned. All the history books need to be burned. You know, we was at a restaurant, me, my son, and my granddaughter, and the little kids menu in I don't know, Minister Yukob, you know what Tampa, Florida is Ybor City. But we were down south in the same type of restaurant, a Colombian restaurant, and the kids' menu had on there stuff about Columbus. Columbus is so deep. It's so deep how wicked these things are, and they know who Columbus is. They know what he did. They know what Columbus represented, but it doesn't matter. It just doesn't matter. It don't matter. They don't care. It just doesn't matter. We don't care if it is true. They say if you tell a lie long enough, it'll sound like the truth, and people's gonna believe it as it's true. And that's all they've done. They know it's a lie, but they done told a lie and put it in so many books and so many print and throughout the schools and colleges that it has became their truth. See,
So,
that
Sister
dude
Betty,
sprinkling in a little truth and a little lie.
so I'm gonna move on to Brother Doug.
Okay.
And I'll come back around.
Okay. All right.
All
Okay.
right.
All right.
Brother Doug.
Well, no, you let her go. I'll mute and let her get back on. Let's just have her get it out.
Well, we gotta get people on and circle around. We'll come back to Sister Betty.
Well, I know better than to cross paths with a queen, and I will tell you something. As she speaks to that, as she says this, and I reflect on how I was feeling along with the rest of the brothers and sisters in chat as this man spoke this idiocy, this abhorrent lie. And the problem for me is that I now understand what they feel when we talk about our royalty, when we talk about our position, our station, because the same raw nerve that is sat upon when they open up to speak the lies that they speak, and they've been doing it for centuries, that's the nerve that they get hit when we talk. I tell you what, man, I don't know what did you say, Boxwood? If you can bring an example of what color Boxwood is, and you're right, he danced all over the blackness, the negrosity of it all. I wonder if and when we are able to leave this place. I'm just thinking about the side eyes so many of us are going to get on our way out. I mean, I just imagine the looks, the comments, and I got something for every last one of them. I mean this.
So let me ask you, Brother Doug.
Go ahead.
Did he not, in essence, admit that our identity was stolen? I mean, by what he said to me, that's what I think. In
listening to it, you could hear him acquiesce, him to the defeat in his voice, with that nervous damn grin, man. Oh, that little grin, that false confidence he exudes and behind the false narrative. We know that, they know who we are.
Yep.
Exactly. And let me ask you something, brother. This man cannot but help hear all around him Negroes wake up.
Yeah.
Okay? I got to ask you a question. You see how Sister Betty is reflective of so many of our royal queens throughout this country that will not accept this lie, will not accept it. So how much more so will Negroes such as us not accept this upcoming deception? Whatever, we don't believe their lies now.
Yeah,
we've seen through them. They have something coming, and I'm going to say this on my way out. Negroes are going to be the last group of people on the planet to accept whatever deceit they have to unfold in front of us. And I mean, it's on the way. And if we don't believe the lie that these folks, these uneducated individuals are telling to our brothers and sisters, that they call them soaking up this nonsense and believing instead of studying themselves, when they roll out whatever they're rolling out, there's going to be this Sister Betty and folks like, and our folks just like, they're going to be the last stand. They're not going to accept it. And
that's why they're trying to exterminate us all.
They have to. They have no choice because we will not accept the lie.
Yep.
I land there. You have a great one, bro.
All right, Brother Doug.
All right, man.
Sister Stacey Ann, how's it going?
It's going. I'm just here appreciating the discussion and wanting to add my little bit. So as I listened, I realized that they too are deceived. And like most of us, they really don't read about the connection of religion overall, the existence of it to the people of the Bible. So as we listen, we understand that they, moreover, being the fact that they never were in, let's say, the situation that we were in, the enslaved people, the chosen enslaved, they were never so oppressed to need God. So they never felt the need to actually know who he is, because people who actually seek him out, the truth is revealed to them. And so that is why those who know are so few, because it is in the quest to find God that you actually find out all of these things, wanting to know more. And this Sister Betty mentioned, because I was listening to Gates of Holder this morning to about the names of the slave ships, and I remember listening to the Truth Unedited presenting about the history of religion and talking about how the Hebrews ended up in Spain and Portugal and so on, and the conversion to Catholicism and the rejection of Christianity and how they were exiled and they sent the young ones to Negro land. I think something like that. So I'm saying it dawned on me that, you know, if you are removed from this reality and you are being taught about Mary and God and Jesus, and then you are in this place and you were taught to expect Jesus to come back. So when you see these ships, you expect that you are going to be taken back home. That's my thought, my theory. So, you know, they were deceived into going on those ships thinking that it was their time to leave and to go home as they are anticipating Christ to return for us. Two, I'm thinking they don't know, honestly, how deceived they are. And they are going to pay the consequences for the ignorance that they continue to dwell in.
So, Sister Stacy, and when that guy at the end who was on the phone talking to Dr. Brown, and he was like, you know, the Obadiah Alliance said that the Negroes black, and I'm just paraphrasing. What do you think of that? Didn't he sound like he was shocked when Brown told him, "Hey, who told you they were white?" You know.
Honestly, I think the struggle is within them, and so he's shocked, and he doesn't know how to reconcile that because they were never taught that. And just like us, in contrast, the same picture that we had up, because right around the world, as I'm saying, you know, they plan this deception, you know, man. You cannot take away from the devil how cunning he is. Because in every home, even on calendars, every year you had the image of Caesar Borgia, and it's because it's the last days now why all of this knowledge is being revealed, because I've never heard of Caesar Borgia until maybe about 2-3 years ago.
Yeah.
You know, I didn't know who this person was. We just accepted the image that was placed before us. And me so disappointed to that even today you still have pastors. I'm watching this SDA pastor. And the images that they still put up are images of white people. Angels white, Jesus still white. You know, every prophet, every biblical character is still white. And me I say, well, go on with them people here, they now wake up. So me no go church, no man, and it's like me can't find no church who say, boy, that somebody here wake up and know what is going on, and actually will be preaching from the Bible and not just taking out snippets and picking out this verse and preaching about it. You're not getting a wholesome delivery. And if you don't seek it out, you're going to remain blinded. And just like these white people and others like us, skin color, who reject. Because no matter how I try to share it, even my mother, you know, she asked me, Stacey, why you hate the people? And I'm saying, I don't hate them. I just know that they are not who they say they are.
Yep.
You know?
Yep. All right. Thank you, Sister Stacy Ann. We're going to move on to Brother Don. Brother Don, how's it going?
Hey, Cobra.
What's
I'm
up?
going to tell you, it gets more interesting from here. That's for sure. Because every time I hear this guy talk, he's capitulating more and more and more. And I just watched Brother Benny Nye's little clip he did today, and it's an even further indictment. You can call, I don't know what a Boxwood look like, but I know what a haplo sample looks like. I know what those letters mean. And those letters
most people don't know what haplogroups is, but I digress. Go ahead.
Yeah, you can't deny that. And then see, the problem is for them is this: once you put the thread out, the pants are gonna fall off. And everything that was done in the past, that was done in the dark, the Most High is gonna bring it to light, including who ran the transatlantic World War. And I had to get on somebody that should be more learned when they tried to propose to me that the Dusty Strip is our home. And I'm like, it ain't, for a couple reasons. Historically, that wasn't the first choice. Secondly, what does the father say? You should have said, you divided my land. Balfour sound familiar to anybody? I land there.
Yeah, a lot of people don't know that the original location was in the Uganda, Kenya area that they wanted to move to. So, but anyway, Sister Chantel, how's it going?
Hello, hi everybody. Can you hear me?
You sound low.
Oh no, not again. I'm somewhere. I'm at the other end of the country, so I don't have access to my other phone. I really hope that you guys can hear me a little better.
Yeah, I can hear you. You just low. So
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. I've practically got my mic in my mouth.
Okay.
Oh my goodness. It's, they're feeling the pressure. For the longest time, they sat and they watched and they kept quiet and they watched and they kept quiet and they kept watching. They were terrified, but they were like, maybe we can, ride this one out. But they know the scriptures better than we do. But I don't understand why they didn't see this coming. Or they saw it coming, but they're still surprised by this. And the funny thing is that they weren't planning on saying nothing. They kept quiet. They didn't engage with us. In fact, we've seen the camps. We've seen how, our brothers will literally be calling them out on the street and they'll pretend like they don't speak English and they don't understand anything, and they've known from way back when. In fact, I basically know that they knew we were going to wake up before we woke up. They knew what was going to happen. But when they had to do something, they had to make a move. Ever since the Kanye and Kyrie thing, that's what literally it was like, okay, we can't ignore this anymore. And so now they're desperate, and it's like they can see prophecy fulfilling and playing out, and there's nothing they can do about it. And as for that land being our land, oh my goodness, you know how I feel about that. You said something years ago. Where would the giants be? Where would the giants be if that was our land?
Yeah, for real.
Do you understand what I'm saying? Like, a giant could put his foot down there, and that's the whole thing.
Let alone not have enough food and water.
Exactly. How is that the land of milk and honey?
Yeah.
It's drier than my foot bottom. I mean, come on, man. No, that's
Just a little common sense is needed, right?
A little, just a little, but that's how I see that. Everything is just, listen, I've got to go because somebody's knocking at my hotel door, but
Okay.
it was good being on.
All right. Thank you, Sister Chantel. So we're going to get final comments. Second Exodus. Final comments? Going once? All right. Sister Betty, final comments.
Hey, family, again. All right, I already talked enough, so I'm just going to make my final comments short. The day is soon going to come when they're going to look up and see the Son of Man coming on that cloud.
Yeah.
We just pray that they either recognize that they have to be grafted in, first of all, because we are the original. We are the apple of his eye. We are his beloved ones, whether you like it or not. You have had your chance. You ruled the earth and the people on the earth. Your time is over. Jacob is at the head because we're woke and we're vigilant now. We recognize the schemes of the enemy. You're going to be the tail. You are the tail now. Once we started to wake up, go back to the Bible and go back and look how it is prophesied. Go back to Genesis 13 and 15. After that, we'll wake up. I mean, that's gonna be it, and it's over. They're holding on. They're like that frog that almost slipped down the stork's neck, but the frog caught a hold of the stork's neck, so the stork didn't swallow him. It's over. It's over. Our King, our Hamashiach is coming back to redeem his people soon. I just pray that they repent and come.
Yep.
And and trust that they have to be grafted into us. Have a great day. Thanks, Jacoba, for having me on.
Thank you for coming on, Sister Betty. All right, second Exodus.
Yeah, sorry about that. My final comments is stay hopeful because we're seeing the transition happening right before us.
Yeah.
Sometimes I feel a little defeated. It's like
Yeah.
is
We
what
all
I'm
do.
doing is what we're doing making a difference.
Yeah.
But it really is, and I'll give you two examples. One example is that I met with the Army guy yesterday. He's looking to become a chaplain like me, or at least I'm a chaplain candidate. Don't you know that he knows that we're the people?
Is he black or white?
He's black.
Okay.
He said his wife was telling him all about it. So I went ahead and showed him Alan H. Godby's book, the PDF, and I went ahead and gave it to him. Second thing is, and he knows all about it, so that was encouraging. Second thing is, and I know I do this. Can you still hear me?
You broke up a little bit. But go ahead.
Oh, my bad.
Yeah,
Okay.
go ahead.
Second thing is, I know I shouldn't do this, but I work part-time in the school system here in Memphis, and I just can't help it. I don't want to see my young brothers and sisters not knowing who they are.
Yeah.
So I pulled up Alan H. Godby's book on the big computer screen while they were doing some work, and hey, I didn't say that I was telling them because there's that separation of church and state. But I figured that since this is history, maybe they get an opportunity to see what I'm reading.
Yeah.
And don't you know one of the kids said, OMG, Negro Jews? It started a whole conversation. You could see the kids' eyes light up. A lot of kids, you could tell they had a lot of issues. And of course, they just had to bring one of the instructors in and say, "What you got on the screen?" so yeah, I'm doing my part. And funny thing is, everywhere I go, every school system I go to in Memphis, I notice.
So what happened when the ass was on the screen?
I told them I was in seminary, which I am. I told them it was seminary work.
Oh, okay.
And they were like, "What?" They were like, "We're Jews," stuff like that. So, long story short, it just makes me feel good when I, just give that spark and let the fire take care of itself. So, continue to do what you're doing. We are making a difference. We are being used by God, just as it's prophesied. We're being used to wake up the dry bones, because God uses people. So.
Exactly. All right. Thank you, second exit.
Thank you.
Final comments, Sister Stacey Ann.
Yeah, man. And so I'm just listening to everybody as they're departing, sharing that we should stay hopeful. I want to add, about a few nights ago, I was worshiping, and I just want to give you the synopsis. God said to tell everybody to go home. He never said go. He said come home to your yard, because it is coming again. He didn't state it what, but we all know what transpired in recent times. And he said it is coming again. Tell them. He said, I am telling you to tell them now, before it is too late. Come home to your yard, to your yard. Stay in your yard, because it is coming again. So that's just a short of it. And as he was speaking through me, he said what they're going to say, and we say twang when we use American accent. So I was saying, I'm not ready to go home. I'm not ready to leave yet. God has been so good to me, because he was saying that's what they're going to say. But I'm telling you now, he said, tell them before it is too late to come home. Come to their own yard. Come home now, because it is coming again. There is something in it, he said, in that place. He said, leave that land. Leave that land. There's something in that land that is not good. It is coming again. So I'm just sharing with everybody that as you learn who you are, draw nearer to God and prepare yourselves to do as he instructs you to do. God bless everybody.
All right. Thank you, Sister Stacey Ann. Brother Don, final comment.
I'm with Sister Stacey Ann. It is it's time to go. It's time to go with everything that we know. And I think that it's going to become more dangerous as the truth comes out, because so many people have so much to lose. And that's a beautiful thing for us. It's a beautiful thing for us. And we watch the Most High's hand move. But I love it every time I watch him on a new video. He gives up more ground. He gives up more ground. Finally, he gonna eventually just say it. Look, y'all, okay, y'all. We that. All right, we got. We've been fooling y'all all these years. We got. So, at any rate, I appreciate you having me on, brother. I'm not gonna be long-winded now, so I'm gonna land my plane there.
All right, brother Don. Thanks for coming on. So, family, we see that they understand who we are, and they've really always known, because they had some of the texts we're only recently getting. So now that they're admitting who we are, they're going to have to deal with a lot of cognitive dissonance and deal with the inherent biases and discrimination and hatred that some of them have in their heart. And because now they understand that their ancestors and the government that they built has been messing with for the Yah's chosen. And therefore, they're always quick to say, touch not my anointed, do my prophets no harm. He who touches the apple of his eye, right? We hear that all the time. But now that we know the apple of his eye is the Negro, what do they do now? Cognitive dissonance, ignore it. It doesn't matter. We're all the same. No more Jew, Greek. Same old stuff we've been hearing. But we're at the threshold of the judgment of the nations, the vengeance of Yah on these people for what they've done is chosen, Joel chapter 3. So, we've awakened, and now some of them have awakened, and some of them have to deal with their own hearts. Some of them have to deal with whether or not they're going to give reparations or not. If it's within their own mind, they won't. But here's the funny thing. We would have healed Babylon, but she's not healed. Why? Because Babylon hates them some Negroes. Babylon wishes to stay the way things have always been. Babylon cannot imagine the Negroes being on top. For the first shall be last, and the last shall be first. Babylon can't handle the fact that their dollar is crashing, and the system that they built, which they love so much, is being replaced by bricks. A new power structure is going to happen. I told you. The power structure of the Tento kingdom and Yah's kingdom. This is where we're at. Things, they be a-changing. But since they're changing, we're a huge threat. Just as what happened during the time of the last 3 years when they were sending assassination squads to different countries and taking out leadership, as they've always done. When the devil's back is up against the wall, he's going to reach out with weapons. But the Most High says when Satan comes like a flood, he sets up a standard against him. That's what's happening right now. That's what's happening over there in Russia. That's what's happening over there on the continent. And our people say enough is enough. We want our own resources. We're not going to be managed by France and the U.S. and the Western powers. They're saying we're willing to die to obtain control over our own lives. Little did we know that our own people on the continent did not run things. What a sad state our people have been in. Can't even run your own government because they all belong to Freemasonry. A lot of these leaderships in Africa belongs to Freemasonry and under the control of the Vatican and of Britain and the U.S. And you wonder why things don't change for most people. Unless you have that handshake unless you take the Luciferic initiation, most won't be successful. So now it's the time of the little man rising up. Them Negro Israelites on the continent saying enough is enough. And the four carpenters coming saying, we got their back. Now everyone has their own agenda and they got their own interests. I'm not going to help you without maybe trying to get something in return. But the enemy of my enemy is my friend. That's just the way it is. And the Most High will use someone like Cyrus to deliver us from our captivity. And that's where we're at. As my brother and I talk, we say, I don't see how there's much time left. Because we see what the plans are, right? Lab-grown meat, genetically modified fruits and veggies, modified mosquitoes, you name it. How can anybody live in such a putrid world, such a manipulated system, chemtrails in the air and fluoride in the water? How? Some of y'all talk about flea doctrine, but how will you survive with all of that happening? How will you survive with what's happening in Maui? How are you going to survive with what's happening with the train derailments? How are you going to survive unless the Most High gets us out of here? Do you think America's going to change? Do you think she's automatically going to get a conscience and says, you know what? Let's go back to organic food. Let's go back to organic meat. Let's go back to organic fruits and veggies. Let's go back to clean air. Let's go back to clean, purified water. Do you think America's going to do that? No, because all of this was created to destroy you. And they don't care if some of their own get caught up in it. But understand, the awakening has gone global. Not only is it in America, it's in the UK, now it is global. Now it's back on the continent. Now people are admitting who we are, and you cannot keep the genie in the bottle. It's already been released. The truth has been released. Now the question is, how do we get out of here? That's the question. Peace and blessings, Israel. Your captivity is ending. Love you with the love of the Messiah. If you want to support this ministry, you can by becoming a patron. You can also give through Cash App. Also, you can go to giftgivingforall.com and, buy some of the products over there. They're pretty good. So share this video. Give us a like, if you like what we discussed today. And also, you can share this video as well. And please support the Dry Bones Project.